It's Easter Sunday. It's the day we celebrate. We celebrate that Jesus was raised from the dead 3 days after he died on the cross, and that he is alive forevermore and dwelling with his Father in heaven. We celebrate that it means for us that this life is not all that there is, but there is a promise that at the end of life there will be a renewed, transformed resurrection body and a place for us at the end of time in a renewed heaven and earth. We celebrate that sin has been defeated by Jesus and can be forgiven and defeated in us, and we can know transformation, healing, and new life in this world, in this time, now. That's more than enough reason for rejoicing. But what if we don't feel like rejoicing? What if it's Easter Sunday, but we feel like it's Holy Saturday? What if we woke up and we didn't feel very well, maybe with the virus or with something else? What if we woke up and we were crushed by loneliness? What if we find ourselves today worried about a loved one or a loved one's loved one, or overwhelmed by a sort of deep malaise or numbness that comes from being part of this slow, protracted, confusing trauma? What if it doesn't feel like Easter Sunday? I want to offer us some thoughts today on how we might be an Easter people in the middle of a pandemic, and I pray that just one of these might resonate with you and help you a little today, however you might be feeling. And the first is this: however you might be feeling, Jesus Christ is with you. In many ways, our experience of Easter Sunday today is close to that of the disciples on that first Easter Sunday. After the disciples deserted Jesus and ran away in the Garden of Gethsemane, after they denied him 3 times in front of strangers, after they hid in the shadows when he was tried before Pilate, after they saw his body removed from the cross and laid in a tomb, after this, the disciples don't go and relax in some hotel somewhere and just wait it out till the Sunday when they know it will all be okay. They don't know it will all be okay. What they experience is great sorrow, disappointment, confusion, and fear. They're confused and disappointed. This is meant to be the Messiah. And the Messiah is the one who comes and rights all injustice. The Messiah is the one who comes and triumphs over the imposing forces of Rome. The Messiah is the one who comes to make it all right. They're in sorrow. The one they love has died. The one they love is no longer alive. They have seen that his body is hung on a cross. And they're frightened. What will happen to them? Does their same fate await, to die in the same humiliating, agonizing way as Jesus? They hide behind locked doors. They come mourning to the garden, but they don't come expecting resurrection. They don't come relaxed and calm. They come in the midst of their pain and their mess, and resurrection surprises them. Resurrection hope comes right into the middle of sorrow and fear and confusion and disappointment. That's exactly where it is to be found. And the resurrected Jesus will say to them, this isn't how you expected it to be, but it is the hope that you all need. It isn't perhaps how you think it will look, but it is exactly what will bring redemption and transformation to the world. This resurrection now partners with you in the process of bringing healing and renewal. This resurrection will right injustice. This resurrection will bring equality and freedom and healing and hope. And it comes into the middle of your pain. I am here, says Jesus. There is no right way to feel today. You don't have to have all your emotions lined up ready for Easter Sunday. You don't have to pretend that you feel joyful if you don't. Resurrection hope comes in the person of Jesus to you anyway, and it stays with you, so that you might know in your body, even if you can't feel it in your heart or sense it with your mind, that He is here in the midst of this pain and sorrow and confusion that we are experiencing as individuals, as a church, as a community, and as a planet. It doesn't matter how you feel today. Jesus is here. And you don't have to conjure joy or celebration and delight to be having a true Easter Sunday resurrection experience, with resurrection coming into the midst of everything you're experiencing and feeling. The second thing that happens on that Easter Sunday that I hope will help us navigate this time is that Jesus comes to his disciples, to the Mary and the other Mary, and says, "Don't be afraid." He echoes the words of the angel who has spoken to them before, saying, "Don't be afraid." And these are very specific assurances to them. This is a very unusual circumstance. Resurrection is not exactly familiar to them. And this is a frightening time generally. They're not safe generally. But Jesus says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of this transformed body. Don't be afraid of my presence. Don't be afraid of what's happening. But it's also a picture of who God is. All through the Old Testament and in the person of Jesus, God is offering his people comfort and peace. Peace by his Spirit, peace by his presence, peace in the middle of a storm, peace beyond all understanding. My peace I give to you, he says. My peace I leave with you. And it's not a peace you can find in the world. It's a peace that can be found nowhere else. A friend reminded me today, this week, of the theologian Raymond Panicot. And he speaks about how peace cannot be imposed and is not imposed by Jesus Christ. He doesn't come and order his disciples, don't be afraid. He doesn't come and rebuke them for their fear. He comes and offers them peace in the midst of their sorrow and their pain. He breathes it onto them. He invites them to receive it. And Raymond Panicot says, peace cannot be imposed. It has to be discovered and nurtured and recreated in us. That's why we are a people of God. Not because peace has been ordered to us and we're somehow obeying. Not because we somehow are shutting out the world around us and what's truly happening, putting our fingers in the ears and pretending that there is peace. But because we are seeking to discover peace, unveil it within ourselves, nurture it and create it as we worship together, as we sing, as we pray, as we sit in silence. I want to invite you today, however you're feeling, to know that Jesus is with you. And I want to encourage you to create in yourself, unveil, discover and nurture the peace which Jesus holds out for you. May you find quiet places. May you find times of stillness to allow that peace to be in you. And the final thing I want to think about is the purpose which Jesus brings. To the women who go to his tomb, he says, don't be afraid and go. Go and share this good news. And that invitation to go and follow and be and live, that is the purpose, the vocational purpose that is given to each Christian when they understand the resurrection truth and when they're able to receive that gift of peace. There were many other messiahs at the time of Jesus, but none were raised to life. Many people who were revered as heroes and martyrs, but none who are celebrated in the way we celebrate Jesus now, thousands of years later, far away from him in history and geography, but still sure of his saving power and his transformative love. Jesus gave to his followers a courage to follow him into places where they knew they would be persecuted, to follow him and proclaim his good news, to start hospitals and schools, to be in places of suffering and poverty and injustice and pain, and to follow him even when it meant giving up their own lives. This is the purpose that comes from that Easter Sunday, from that resurrection day, and from believing and knowing that it's true. There may be days in this season where we find we can't be productive or purposeful in any way. I think that's normal. And there might be times where what we need to do is lie on the sofa and watch Netflix and eat chocolate, and that's part of how we're going to give ourselves strength and care for ourselves in this time. I'm not suggesting that you should be endlessly productive, learn 10 languages, play the mandolin for the first time. No. But I am suggesting that you hold on to the resurrection purpose that has been given to you. Whether that means that you're donating to charities or giving to a food bank or checking in on your neighbours or calling friends and family and members of your church and reminding them of God's deep love and of your deep love for them. Whether that means that you're praying in the quiet watches of the night, or you're praying on WhatsApp, or you're praying on Zoom, or you're worshipping with your church family, or you're seeking somehow to stand up for the most vulnerable and advocate for the poor, or you're cheering for our doctors and nurses and healthcare workers and all our key workers, and you're also finding ways of supporting them in your life too. Whatever it means, hold on to that resurrection purpose that was the constant renewal of faith in Jesus' first followers. It will give you meaning and life and rhythm, and it will help you hold your fear. It will keep renewing your love and deepening your compassion and giving you strength. This Easter Sunday may not feel like any Easter Sunday we have known. It may not feel like Easter Sunday at all, but much more like Holy Saturday. But I pray that you will still feel like an Easter people. However you're feeling, know that Jesus is with you. May you receive his peace as gift, and may his purpose constantly renew you and give you hope. God bless you.